Welcome back to another CCAA pre-tournament press conference. Joining us today, we have the number 6 seed on the men's side, Chico State. With us, we have head coach Greg Klink. Coach, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
Well, let's just hear a little bit about the Wildcats and let's just start off. How did your Saturday go? Tell me a little about your Saturday as you were probably scoreboard watching.
Saturday was interesting. We went into the game against Pomona knowing that not only did we need to win, but we needed some help from some other people. We had a scouting and film session in a hotel room, 10:30 Saturday. And what I told the guys, I asked them if they ever had heard the expression "a chip in a chair," and they all kind of looked at me like I was crazy. And so I explained to them what a chip in a chair means. And I told them a story about how Jack Treetop Strauss in 1982 was in the World Series of Poker, and he pushed all his chips in and lost a huge pot, and everybody thought he was eliminated, and miraculously found a $500 chip under a napkin that had got away from his pile. And so he was quoted as saying, "As long as I have a chip in a chair, I've got a chance, and I got a chance to make a run." So we talked about having a chip in a chair. We knew we needed to win, and we knew we needed some help from somebody else. But we talked about, we have a chance, and if we go out and play well and get this done, there's a chance we can make the playoffs and a chance that we can make a run. So that's kind of how we're approaching it.
Tell me, I understand it's got to be great to have the season keep going, all that stuff, but you had a very young team. I understand you have Joshua Hamilton and Kelvin Wright Jr., who are both back. I've kind of been through the battles, but you have a lot of other pretty young guys. How important was it for them to just kind of be, kind of see this playoff battle in the regular season, I guess?
Yeah, it's funny you say that. That's one, as a coach, you always are looking short term, week to week, game to game, looking at the season, what can you accomplish? But you also look at the long term. And that's one of the things that I've really tried hard to keep in perspective, is not only are we trying to accomplish some great things this year, but we're trying to build for the future. And that having a lot of young guys, freshmen, sophomores, that are playing a bulk of the minutes, there are certain nights when we're good and certain nights when we're not so good. And that's kind of the process of it, and the things that you have to deal with when coaching a young team. But the fact that we were able to persevere and keep battling through some adversity, through some losses, some wins, down to the last day, and be able to go on the road and get one that we needed, I think was a great achievement for these young guys. And it's a great experience to be able to play in the playoffs. For most of them who haven't ever done that before, it'll be a good experience for them.
What has Josh Hamilton helped do for lead this team? I saw him, felt like on the court the other day, I think he had a nice little run against Cal Poly Pomona when you guys were struggling, really stepped up through his action. But what else has he done, and even Kelvin too, help bring this team along maturity wise?
Yeah, well, you talked about Josh. He's just been kind of the foundation of the group. There's been games when he hasn't shot it well. There's been games when he has. His defense is always good. I mean, we really rely on him guarding the other team's best player, best perimeter player. And he's just kind of been a rock for us. He's been through the battles, Kelvin as well. Kelvin obviously dealt with an injury for the first part of the season, but to have him back and, to have those two guys that have been through playoffs and regionals and Elite Eights, and to be able to have that experience and leadership, I think benefits us. But Josh has been just consistent, just shows up every day, he works hard, really good defender, a guy that we rely on to get baskets when we need baskets. But he's been kind of our rock and foundation of the group.
Fantastic. So I want to hear a little bit about, it's been a different team this year. We can look through the stats and everything else like that, but I'd like to hear from your point of view. What are the strengths, one strength that shows up in the box score, and then one strength of your team that doesn't show up in the box score?
Well, I think that most nights we take pretty good care of the ball. We have not been shooting the ball very well. We haven't been consistent shooting the ball all season, but we've done a pretty good job valuing it. We For the most part, we've had games where we haven't, but for the most part, we take good care of the ball. We work for good shots. Like I said, those shots have not been falling at the rate we want them to, but we value the ball. Defensively, I feel like there are certain nights when we're pretty good. There are other nights when we're not. That's probably been the most frustrating thing for me, because we really year in and year out hang our hat on our defense, and the defense has not been consistent all year long. And for me, that's been the most frustrating thing to deal with. Lots of new guys learning the system, lots of young guys that don't understand always what kind of mental approach it takes every night to be a great defensive team, but that's something that we're learning.
I'd like to talk to you a little bit about your opponent you guys have coming up on, it'll be Thursday now. You guys are actually the very first game of it. It'll be at noon. You guys will play San Francisco State. I will say you guys dropped the 2 games against them this year, but even looking back over the last 8 matchups, seems like every one of them is within a 10-point type of game. Just tell me about what San Francisco State and what fans can expect from that matchup on Thursday.
Well, San Francisco State, they really are an extension of their coach. Vincent Glima is a phenomenal coach, a really good teacher, gets his guys ready to go every single night. They're always ready. They're always prepared. The scouting report that they put together is always good. So I have a ton of respect for him and the program that he runs, and they are really an extension of him. You can see, he gets them to play extremely hard, extremely physical. They're really bought in. So we know we have our hands full. They've gotten us twice this year. And I have a ton of respect for what they do and how they play.
There should be some good ones. They seem like they're always playing pretty close games on that one. So.
Yep.
I'm going to just ask, and I know we don't want to look back in the past, like you said, last year is last year, but as you talked about, you guys are playing with so many young players this year. How important is the CCAA tournament just as you kind of rebuild your program and hopefully get back up to where you were with the experience?
Yeah, like I was saying before, I think the experience of fighting to get into the playoffs has been good for our young guys, and just the experience of being able to compete in the playoffs is going to be good for our young guys. A lot of times when you are playing with freshmen, not a lot of times, all the time, they're always walking into a new gym, right? They haven't been to San Francisco State. They haven't been to Pomona or Stanton, so they're always walking into a new gym. Every experience is new. So to be able to get our freshmen to be able to play in a playoff game, so they know what that's like going forward. They know what type of preparation that needs to be had. They know what, the excitement, the intensity level, all of those things are extremely important, and the experience is invaluable.
Well, fantastic, Coach. Well, we look forward to seeing you and the Wildcats up in Turlock. As I mentioned, it'll be the Thursday, the first game. You guys will play San Francisco State at noon. So thank you just for taking a couple minutes to give us a little insight into the Wildcats, and looking forward to seeing you up in Turlock.
Yeah, my pleasure. We're looking forward to it. See you down there.